Story 1. In the heart of Greenwood Cemetery, where ancient tombstones stood like sentinels in the moonlit night, the Thompsons arrived with heavy hearts. Sarah and John, a grieving mother and father, sought solace at the grave of their departed daughter, Emily. Little did they know that the cemetery held secrets darker than the shadows cast by the looming mausoleums. The air was thick with an unnatural stillness as the Thompsons approached Emily's grave, adorned with wilted flowers and the weight of unspoken grief. A distant howl of an unseen creature echoed through the tombstones, sending a shiver down Sarah's spine. Ignoring the uneasy feeling, they lit a candle, casting a flickering glow on the engraved letters of Emily's name. As the couple bowed their heads in silent prayer, the atmosphere shifted, the temperature plummeted, and the once still air rustled with unseen whispers. Sarah, with tear-stained eyes, glanced up to find the shadows weaving intricate patterns around the headstones, as if the cemetery itself mourned. Suddenly, the flame of the candle flickered violently, casting erratic shadows on the ground. John, a stoic man hardened by grief, felt a cold hand graze his shoulder. He turned, expecting to find solace in the presence of his wife, but Sarah stood frozen, her gaze fixed on a distant figure. A pale apparition cloaked in tattered garments materialized beside Emily's grave. The ghostly figure, a spectral child with hollow eyes, reached out as if beckoning them to unearth the secrets buried within the cemetery grounds. A guttural moan escaped its ethereal lips, resonating with an anguish that transcended the realms of the living. Terrified, the Thompsons clutched each other, unable to tear their eyes away from the ghostly child. The air grew thick with despair as other apparitions, equally mournful, emerged from the shadows. Unseen hands brushed against the couple's faces, leaving trails of icy fingers that whispered of forgotten sorrows. Desperation seized the Thompsons as they tried to flee, but the cemetery seemed to morph into an otherworldly labyrinth. The apparitions, now a ghostly congregation, encircled them with mournful wails that reverberated through the night. A spectral wind swept through the graveyard, stirring the leaves and casting an eerie glow on the tombstones. The ghostly figures began to converge, their mournful cries escalating into a symphony of despair. Sarah and John, now entwined in the spectral dance, felt the weight of their grief manifesting as a palpable force stood in the heart of the cemetery. A twisted tree, its branches gnarled and contorted, seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. The ghostly figures guided the Thompsons towards the ancient tree, revealing an unearthed secret and unmarked grave that held the restless spirits of forgotten children. With a collective, mournful wail, the apparitions dissipated into the night, leaving the Thompsons breathless and disoriented. The twisted tree, now silent and still, cast an imposing shadow over the graveyard. The couple, forever changed by the encounter, stumbled out of Greenwood Cemetery, haunted by the echoes of eternal mourning that lingered within its spectral depths. Story 2. On the outskirts of Raven's Hollow, where moonlight struggled to pierce the dense canopy of ancient trees, the McGregor family stood before the dilapidated gates of Forgotten Oaks Cemetery. Samuel, a widowed father, and his two children, Emma and Thomas, had come to pay their respects to their late mother. Little did they know that the silent tombs harbored secrets beyond the veil of the living. The cemetery was bathed in an ethereal glow. As Samuel and his children approached their family plot, a chill hung in the air, and the ancient mausoleum seemed to watch with stone eyes. Samuel placed a bouquet of lilies on his wife's grave, the fragrance mingling with the distant scent of damp earth. As they stood in quiet reflection, Thomas, the younger of the two, noticed a flicker of movement among the tombstones. Shadows danced, seemingly detached from their sources, and the air stirred with an otherworldly energy. Emma, a skeptical teenager, brushed off her brother's concerns, attributing the oddities to the play of moonlight as the family prepared to leave. The moon reached its zenith, casting an eerie luminescence upon the cemetery. Samuel's gaze lingered on a weathered statue of an angel, its outstretched wings a silent guardian over the silent tombs. Unbeknownst to them, the atmosphere shifted, and the once quiet graveyard came alive with unseen forces. A soft whisper, barely audible, began to weave through the air. The whisper grew into a haunting melody, a lament carried by the wind. The McGregor family, now uneasy, exchanged uneasy glances as the shadows coalesced into indistinct figures. In the heart of the cemetery, an apparition materialized, a spectral woman with sorrowful eyes, her gaze fixed on Samuel. Thomas, sensing an otherworldly presence, pointed toward the figure, his voice trembling with fear. The spectral woman approached, her footsteps echoing on the moss-covered path. The air thickened with a palpable tension as the McGregor family found themselves ensnared in a spectral waltz. Unseen hands brushed against their skin, and the whispers intensified into anguished cries that resonated through the silent tombs. As the spectral waltz reached its crescendo, the apparitions led the McGregor family to an ancient mausoleum, its door slightly ajar. Samuel, guided by an unseen force, pushed the door open, revealing a hidden chamber adorned with faded symbols and ancient script. In the center of the chamber lay an old family heirloom, a locket that once belonged to Samuel's wife. The locket emanated an otherworldly glow, casting an ethereal light on the faces of the McGregor family. The spectral woman, now a benevolent guide, pointed towards the locket, urging them to uncover its significance. As Samuel touched the locket, a surge of energy pulsed through the chamber. The apparitions, now tranquil, faded into the shadows, their mournful cries replaced by a sense of calm. The cemetery, once alive with spectral forces, fell silent. The McGregor family, forever changed by their encounter, left Forgotten Oaks Cemetery with the weight of both grief and resolution. The locket, now conduit between the living and the departed, held the key to the silent tombs mysteries and eternal connection between the McGregor family and the spirits that lingered in the shadows. Story 3. In the heart of Moonshadow Cemetery, where time seemed to stand still among weathered headstones, siblings Mia and Daniel Ashton arrived to visit their estranged grandmother's grave. The air hung heavy with a mixture of damp soil and forgotten memories as they navigated the silent pathways. Little did they know that the echoes of the past lingered beyond the graves, waiting to be unearthed. Moonlight filtered through the twisted branches of ancient oaks, casting elongated shadows that danced along the family plots. Mia, a skeptic with a penchant for unraveling mysteries, and Daniel, a reserved artist with a sensitivity to the supernatural, approached their grandmother's resting place. The epitaph bore a name shrouded in familial discord. As they lit a candle in solemn remembrance, the siblings felt a subtle change in the air. Unseen eyes seemed to watch their every move, and an unnatural stillness settled over the cemetery. A distant owl hooted, its melancholic call echoing through the silent tombstones. Suddenly, a gust of wind extinguished the candle, plunging the siblings into darkness. Whispers, like ethereal tendrils, brushed against their ears. Mia dismissed them as mere tricks of the night, but Daniel, attuned to the supernatural, sensed an unseen presence lingering in the shadows. The siblings, now enveloped in an otherworldly hush, noticed a peculiar pattern emerging in the gravestones. The names and dates seemed to rearrange themselves as if telling a hidden story. Mia, intrigued by the eerie occurrence, reached out to touch one of the headstones. The moment her fingers made contact, a spectral force surged through her, unlocking a connection to the graveyard's forgotten tales. The cemetery came alive with echoes of the past. A tragic love affair, a family torn apart by betrayal, and the unspoken grievances of those laid to rest. The whispers intensify, revealing the unsavory secrets that had festered beneath the surface for generations. A spectral figure, clad in mourning attire, materialized before Mia and Daniel. The ghostly woman, their long-lost grandmother, extended a spectral hand, imploring them to delve into the cryptic history hidden within Moonshadow Cemetery. Her eyes, filled with tears, spoke of a family legacy tainted by betrayal and unresolved grievances. Guided by the spectral figure, Mia and Daniel followed an ethereal path that led to an ancient mausoleum. Concealed in the cemetery's depths, the air thickened with an otherworldly energy as the siblings crossed the threshold, revealing a chamber adorned with faded tapestries and relics of a bygone era. In the chamber's center lay a tarnished family crest, a symbol of unity shattered by the weight of familial discord. The siblings, now entwined in the cemetery's spectral narrative, touched the crest, unlocking memories etched into the fabric of Moonshadow Cemetery. As Mia and Daniel embraced the truths of their family's past, the mausoleum echoed with a final, mournful wail. The spectral figure, their grandmother, dissipated into the shadows, leaving the siblings with a sense of closure and a newfound connection to the graveyard's history. Moonshadow Cemetery, once a silent witness to familial strife, now stood as a repository of shared tales. Mia and Daniel, forever changed by the spectral encounter, left the graveyard with a whispered promise to remember the past and honor the stories buried beneath the headstones of Moonshadow.